I reported a friend missing earlier today, and I think I need to fill out the paperwork or whatever for a missing person.
And who's missing?
Mary Kay Wohlfarth.
On a June day in 2019, the peaceful North Hill neighborhood in Akron, Ohio was shattered by the brutal murder of Mary Kay Katie Wohlfarth. The 68-year-old antiques dealer was found beaten to death in her own self-storage unit, leaving her loved ones and the entire community in shock and disbelief. Despite a massive investigation, the case went cold for months until a breakthrough led to the arrest of a suspect in early 2020. As the trial approaches, the community still grapples with the senseless act of violence that took the life of a beloved member. Join us as we delve into the tragic case of Mary Kay Katie Wohlfarth and the impact it had on those who knew her. The 70-year-old antiques dealer was found beaten to death in her own self-storage unit located in the North Hill neighborhood of Akron. Katie was a well-known figure in the community, loved by many for her kind heart and friendly demeanor. She had a passion for antiques and was a fixture at local flea markets and antique shows. Her sudden and violent death sent shockwaves through the community, leaving friends and family reeling with grief and confusion. As the investigation into her murder began, detectives were met with little evidence and few leads. The killer had left no clear motive, and there were no witnesses to the crime. The case quickly went cold, leaving friends and family with no answers and the community in fear of a violent killer on the loose. Months passed with little progress until a break in the case came in early 2020. Police announced the arrest of 36-year-old Brandon T. Jones, who had been charged with the murder of Katie Wohlfarth. The exact motive for the murder of Mary Kay Katie Wohlfarth is not entirely clear. During the investigation and trial, prosecutors presented evidence suggesting that the suspect had stolen items from her storage unit and may have killed her in an attempt to cover up the theft. However, the exact sequence of events leading up to the murder remains unclear. Regardless of the motive, the fact remains that the perpetrator committed a senseless act of violence that robbed a community of a beloved member and left a trail of devastation in its wake. Jones had been in custody on unrelated charges when DNA evidence linked him to the crime scene. The news of Jones's arrest brought a sense of relief to the community, who had been anxiously awaiting answers and justice for Katie's murder.
You understand that if you plead guilty here today, you're admitting the allegations. You understand that?
Yes.
Michael Olson, 35, pleaded guilty to the following charges: aggravated murder, rape, gross abuse of a corpse, grand theft of a motor vehicle, and trespassing.
We believe that the sentence of life in prison with no possibility of parole is warranted.
Olson was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. James Olson, Michael's father, said police found a bag of crystal methamphetamine when they arrested his son, and he thinks the drugs influenced what happened.
You hooked on anything? What got you using?
I smoke weed every once in a while, but it gives me a little bit of uppity energy.
Nothing else?
Nothing else.
Olson, who sat through much of the sentencing with eyes downcast or with hands over his face or clasped as if in prayer, apologized to Wohlfarth's family during a brief statement.
Albeit drugs did have a big factor in this. I chose to do those drugs.
He blamed the drugs, but said that he chose to take them. "I hope that, one day, you will see that I'm not the devil," he said. According to authorities, Olson sexually assaulted and killed 68-year-old Mary Kay Katie Wohlfarth of Akron. She disappeared on June 1st, and her body was found 2 days later. Wohlfarth died from blunt force trauma to the head, according to the Summit County Medical Examiner's Office. Authorities said that Olson worked as a handyman and he was acquainted with the victim. After the murder, he was seen driving Wohlfarth's car. Michael Olson is a brutal, cold-blooded killer. The community is safer with him spending the rest of his life in prison. "I'm pleased we were able to get swift justice for Katie and her family," said Summit County Prosecutor Sherry Bevan Walsh. "It's safe to say that justice has been served." The suspect in Katie's brutal killing was apprehended and brought to trial, where he was ultimately found guilty and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. While the pain of Katie's loss will never truly go away, the knowledge that her killer is behind bars provides some measure of closure to her loved ones and the community as a whole.